Hello and welcome. So we're doing another mod review on a paid mod. This mod is called Venera. It is by the same author who did Crater 87. I will link that up in the corner up above, so if you want to check out that mod. Really enjoyed that mod. But I guess if we're going to go ahead and start, what does this mod offer? It offers a new settlement with several quests that a lot of them are repeatable. So if you're going to plug in this quest, the very first place you're going to want to go is Rascal Hague 1. This is where the settlement's located. We can see it's marked there. I'd say a little bit of feedback I would have for the author is if we could put a settlement marking on the galaxy map there, that would be really helpful in finding Rascal Hague, because it's not somewhere I frequent often, so I found myself getting lost in the map quite frequently. But as far as mods go, this one, while it does have several quests, these quests are basically devoid of any kind of combat. So what you're observing right here is the most combat that I experienced within the mod, and this is just a randomly procedurally generated encounter in the base game. So this wasn't actually part of the mod. So if you're looking for some more intense and action-oriented gameplay, this mod's probably not going to be for you. But if you're looking for some interesting and different repeatable quests, or maybe looking for another settlement with more vendors, this mod will be for you. So this is pretty fairly priced at 500 credits, so that's in the US that would be like $5. I think it's €5 in Europe. I'm not fully sure on the exchange rate or any of that, but 500 credits, so it's fairly cheap as far as mods go, with $5, and you're getting several quests and a full settlement, which I will say does have a lot of character. We can see it on right here. It's rather dark while I'm landing, but we're going to go ahead and take a lot closer look at this and see, what's the settlement look like? What exactly are we getting for $5? And one thing I do want to point out as we approach the doors to the settlement is, like, take note of the attention to detail that the author kind of puts into crafting. So this is completely custom. He's not reusing any game assets here. We can see Venera Station written on the wall there. So the game author's taking a lot of attention to detail when creating this, and like I said, it's completely custom make, so you're not going to find other settlements that look exactly like this in the game. This is kind of going to stand out and stand apart from the rest of the settlements, but also in the same light, it does fit within the Starfield universe, and we're going to get a little
Stop
bit of
right there.
dialogue.
Are you a heat leech? Ah, I got you going there for a minute. Ah, just joking. Welcome to Venera Station. Would you be able to answer some questions? We have this questionnaire for all new arrivals. Will only take a minute.
So there we have the beginning intro, kind of introducing you to the settlement. Here we're walking into the actual settlement itself, and you can hear that music cue that popped off. And that kind of reiterates, like, the attention of detail that the author is kind of putting into this mod here, where he's actually, using music cues to kind of build up the suspense of walking into this settlement in the main area of it. But we're going to go ahead and move into, like, what all do you get with this mod. So you get this new settlement. It has several voice acted characters. There's going to be a total of 3 vendors. So 2 are available right off the bat. One's a bar, one's a produce vendor, and then the third one's going to be a weapon merchant, and that's going to be unlockable after you do one of the quests with this mod. So as far as quests go with this mod, we have 3 repeatable quests, 2 of which are kind of like really easy to do, but they're also kind of very unique to the Starfield universe. in their own way and fun in their own way. Um, but we'll go through them. They're not too complex. I'll go through those two, just let the NPC talk about it, and then share a quick thought on my end. But the third quest, that's repeatable. I did get stuck on it for about 2 hours until I ended up watching someone else's review to see where I got stuck. So on that third quest, this video is going to be a little bit more guide-ish, and that's because the mod author is not really holding your hand with the quests, and a lot of times there's not a quest marker available, and you're kind of just supposed to listen to the dialogue and follow the dialogue, which, as you know, a Morrowind fan myself, I really do appreciate that. Though I will say some of the dialogue was a little bit misleading in what I was looking for. I'll elaborate a little bit more when we get to that third quest, but let's go ahead and take a peek at the first quest that is repeatable here and what exactly that is.
Sometimes visitors take off their helmets, get distracted, and then forget where they left it. Then they come to ship services to report it missing. If there's a missing item, you can help me find it and bring it back. People usually leave a small finder's fee as a reward for finding it. I've seen rare situations where people leave a very hefty reward. However, that is rare.
So if you played Crater 87, that's going to be a recognizable voice for you. That was the voice of the main character within Crater 87. I believe this is the mod author and his voice acting. He does a very fine job in voice acting this particular role. Now, this quest, it's a very simple hide and go seek quest. Basically, we have a simple piece of like equipment that's been lost by someone, and you have to look around the station and find it. Typically going to be on like tables, chairs, etc. So it's not too hard to find. It's not going to be like up in the rafters or anything like that. And then the rewards are kind of randomized. Majority of the time it's going to be like 50 credits, but occasionally you could get substantially more than that. And I don't know what the determining factor is. I suspect it's probably random, some kind of random chance, like 5% chance of getting a larger reward. But, you know, very simple, basic quest. It's repeatable, so you can do it multiple times if you want. But let's go ahead and move on to the next quest.
Look what the cat dragged in. I don't think I have seen you before. Welcome to Rara's Exotics. My name is Razia, but everyone here calls me Rara. Would you care for a drink? Something to eat? We even have medical supplies. This station does not have a real doctor, so everyone comes to me when they need radiation meds. Oh, I do actually. You see, this station is far away from civilized space. Most of the food is pre-packaged. Sometimes customers request specialty food or drinks. If you have experience mixing drinks or cooking exotic food, I would have work for you. I hope so. Some of the drinks are pretty hard to mix. Let me check my inventory. Customers have been asking for whiskey, advanced nutritional brand, the one in the little box with a straw.
So this is a very basic cooking quest. I don't believe there's any cooking quests within the base game of Starfield. So this is another like interesting, unique quest that is kind of added to the game. And you know, it kind of makes sense for the settlement itself. But you know, very basic, very simple. It's repeatable as well. You'll get different cooking items to cook up for the bar there as well. So, very basic, but let's go ahead and jump into this third quest, which is going to be a little bit of a zinger.
Then I wish you a warm welcome. I hope your flight was pleasant. Well, in my experience, sometimes everything just being okay is something to be thankful for. In my shop, you can find a variety of fresh produce: tomatoes, onions, even lettuce. I pay extra for top shelf refrigeration during transport, so everything you see is fresh. Also, if you are looking for paid work, I may have something for you to do. Importing fresh produce and more technical work. Recovery of expensive electronics that was lost and that no one is looking for anymore. Have you ever seen a crawler vehicle? It's one of these big tracked vehicles used to carry full-size cargo containers. The crawler I want you to find is a special model. Normal crawlers drive by pre-programmed cores. The ones we're after are semi-autonomous. They can self-correct course and receive long-range remote guidance. Your job is to find crawlers like this and recover the 3 transceiver parts. Then bring these parts to me. Here are the coordinates for a crawler you can salvage. The next one you have to find yourself. Also, do not sell or throw away the parts. If you do, you have to find another crawler on your own.
So, the author himself added a new point of interest into the procedural generation. It's going to be this missing crawler location. The very first one you're going to be pointed to with a quest marker, but anytime you try to do this quest again, you'll have to find it on your own. You're typically going to find these on like icy moons. It has a 5% chance of spawning at a landing site. So I would say the best way to find these crawlers is going to be what I refer to as a strategy called tile spamming. Basically, you land, you're going to pan around the horizon and scan all the available points of interest. And then if you don't see it, you're going to pick a new landing spot and do it over and over and over again. About 1 in 20 will have this missing crawler. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the first one in just a moment here. What I will say is, after you do get the initial parts, you end up figuring out that this is a smuggling operation and it's kind of illegal to have these parts. So what you will be doing is smuggling these parts in a box of onions, which you'll make at a workbench. The workbench happens to be right next to him, so don't worry about like traveling back to a base or your ship to make it. There's a workbench right available. He also does sell the necessary onions to make this kind of concealed box of contraband, and then you'll be like meeting up with a contact himself. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at how this crawler actually looks, because it does have a very unique look to it itself. So we're going to be driving out there, but more a little bit on meeting the contact. So after you make this, you'll talk to someone else who will set up an arrangement for you to basically sell the contraband to a contact in Aquila. What I will say is the description that they give of the contact kind of led me to believe that he was a big fat guy. And this was because he uses the word heavyset, and I think this is probably a cultural difference, but in America, when you refer to someone as being heavyset, you really mean Walmart fat, which is like kind of what threw me off. I spent about 2 hours looking for this guy, and I was looking at all the really kind of fat NPCs that hobble around Aquila. And it turns out the guy's not that big. So I'm going to show you what the guy looks like in just a little bit here. But we can see the crawler itself, very unique. It's got that antenna which is lit up. Um, Now, I don't know if this first location was handpicked by the author. I kind of hope it was, because the very first location I got this beautiful, stunning view of, a gas giant kind of intersecting with the horizon. It makes me think, and by all assessments, I didn't like actually measure it or anything, but I think this moon is tidally locked, so I think that gas giant stays in the same spot in the night sky constantly. So I think it very well may have been intentional. I mean, if the author does see this, I'd kind of like to hear his opinion whether this was intentional or not. But stunning view on the very first one. It would kind of spell out the attention to detail I'm talking about. But here is the NPC. As we can see, by American standards, he looks very normal. Not that heavy set as you would believe, but a bald guy has some facial hair. And he's going to either be dressed as a starship technician, a Freestar security guard, or a Chunks employee, and he'll be kind of just wandering around Aquila. As soon as I was able to see him, I was able to figure out who he was, and find him easily. So I spent about 2 hours looking for, someone that was fat, and it turns out he wasn't that fat at all. But if you do this quest for him twice, he will lead you to the fourth quest, which is going to be a dialogue between different vendors or possible vendors for whatchamacallit, the gun shop that's setting up in the town. So he's going to have you meet with his contact at Venera that is trying to set up the gun shop. Now, one thing I would like to point out is he says that the contact is a blonde. The contact is, in fact, a brunette. That is also another thing that may trip you up. What I would suggest to the author is to kind of prevent player frustration. I think including like a picture of the contact and a picture of Julie. I think it's Julie. It starts with a J. The gun store merchant would kind of alleviate this frustration that players might have while trying to locate these NPCs. And there's no quest marker, so you're not really having your hand held, but maybe just like putting a photo of those players within the description for this mod might actually help, and maybe like a little bit of a cheat sheet. But my overall thoughts of this mod, it's pretty good. It's not a mod for me because it's kind of lacking that combat element gameplay. But a lot of attention to detail. There's repeatable quests. The quests are unique in their own right. You have the smuggling quest, a little bit of hide and go seek, and then that cooking quest is all as well. But overall, I would probably call this mod like 7.5 out of 10 for me. I didn't hate it. I wish there was some combat action gameplay involved, but overall, very enjoyable. So, I hope you enjoy it as well if you do pick it up. But as always, enjoy the rest of your night.